Are you ready? Okay. Let's get started.
All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Know why you're here, right?
Violation of parole. I violated, I had a pistol while I was on parole, so I got possession of firearms. So they
You
violated.
were out for how long when that happened?
About a month.
A month. What was your original offenses?
I had just got out of Camp Summit for violation of probation for battery. So I had got out and I was on parole and I violated.
You had how many counts of battery?
Like 4.
And resisting law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
What were the batteries about?
Racism.
Racism? Tell me what that means.
Well, when I was going to school, when I had just came up here, there was a bunch of kids just calling me names and stuff. So back in the day, I just used to react to any stupid stuff. Like if somebody called me a name, I'll just react to it and start fighting right away. So that's how I got mostly all my batteries from, people calling me names, racist names and stuff. So,
And was any of that gang related?
no, sir.
Okay. So you were originally at Camp Summit. Did you complete that program?
Yes,
And
sir.
you were released from there. You were out for a month, and you were sent back, right? And where'd you go from there?
Northeast.
And what happened there?
To tell you the truth, I don't even know why I got reclassed. When I first got here, I asked Counselor Ms. Griffin when I was in A2 why I got reclassed, and she said it was unknown. She said I got sent up here for the Plus program because I was 18. And because I only had one major at Northeast. I only had one major while I was at Northeast, and I didn't know why I was getting reclassed. So when I got here, I asked, and she said all she knew about was that I was here for the Plus program.
Was that something that you had expressed an interest in
I
at
was-
the previous facility?
Yeah, I was at the Plus program at Northeast, and I guess I turned 18, and I guess because of my charges, they sent me here. So when I got here, I asked Ms. Griffin. She said all she knew was that it was because of the Plus program.
So what kind of programs have you been involved in since you've been here?
Thinking for Change, employability. I just completed the GROW program.
Why were you in the growth program?
I got like 3 STG majors in 1 month, so they sent me to the GROW program.
So talk to me about your STG ties.
Well, I was tagging stuff up like my clothes and my shoes, my shower shoes, and a blue chair in GP. I had tagged it up, so I got rolled up for it, and they sent me over here.
By tagging it up, do you mean that you were destroying the property by writing gang graffiti
Yes,
on it?
ma'am.
What gang?
Put your hands up on the camera. Show us your, what is that? Tell us what that is.
These are names.
Turn your wrist over. And what's that?
My initial,
What's it for?
my first name. I'm gonna get my initials. The letter of my first name.
What gang are you affiliated with?
Sir 13
How long has that been happening?
for a while.
Before you committed all these batteries?
No, that was after. That was probably since I turned 15, 16. That's when I started really getting into it.
So where and when did all the gang thing happen?
Noble County.
So have you actually been initiated into the gang?
Yes, sir.
And what have you learned through the GROW program?
That gangs is not that's not the right path to go to, and I learned about just it's not right. I don't know, it's just not.
You need to be a little bit more convincing than that.
I learned, well, while I was in the GROW program, we talked about racism, we talked about uniting, reuniting. That's about it.
Are you going to continue with your gang involvement once
No,
you leave the
ma'am.
facility? Okay, well, that's what you need to talk about. What have you learned? Are you going to continue with your gang involvement?
No.
Okay. Talk a little bit about
what's,
that.
What's different? What's going to
What's
keep you
different
from going
is
back out
I
and
got
affiliating
future
with your
plans.
gang?
I got goals that I want to complete when I get out.
What are those goals?
I want to go to college and play football. And I'm already enrolled where I should have been. I was talking to Miss Matson, and she enrolled me into college IPFW because I got my GED. And I should start August because she enrolled me online. So those are my future goals for when I get out of here.
So how do you deal with your gang affiliation once you leave here?
I'm just going to ignore them and go to school,
Do you think just ignoring them is going to work?
hopefully.
Did it work the last time?
No, last time I didn't have no future plans. I got out, I didn't have my GED, and I didn't have no future plans. So now I do. Now I got an education. I got my GED here, and I'm gonna go to college, play football.
How long have you been in the GROW program?
Since December.
Do you have any family that's involved in the gang? Is that going to pose a problem for you?
No, it's my little brother. So
Okay, is he still actively involved in the gang?
I haven't spoke with him since he left.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you what concerns me, and then maybe you can talk a little bit about that. As I read through your release portfolio, at no time did you mention anything about what you've learned and about your gang involvement and your gang ties.
That's because when I wrote the release portfolio, I was in D9. That was before I had started really getting into the gang stuff here. So,
Okay.
Who with your family is involved with the gang?
my little brother,
Your little brother. Who introduced you to the gang?
friends,
Friends. And where are these friends at?
Noble County,
What is your release plan? Where are you going? Where's your placement?
Ligonier, with my grandma.
Where is that in relation to where your gang is? Is it nearby? St. Marion?
Elkhart, yes sir.
Mr. Viet, I got a question. What concerns me from the discussions we've had in your individual counseling, the accountability that I implemented on the unit. When you first were released, you was out for about a month. And what really concerns me is that while you're on parole, you in your possession, you had a gun, right? So what concerns me now is whatever you learn and all the programs that we've implemented, that once you do get released, you're not going to make that same decision again. I just want to know exactly, just discuss a couple points about the accountability, even the spiritual counseling that I implemented. Tell us some of the things that you're going to change once you get released. You're not going to make that same decision. So.
Well, I'm gonna think more, like, because I don't want to come back, because I don't want to come back. And now that I'm 18, I'm gonna go across the street. So I'm gonna think first before I act.
What was your intent with the gun? Why'd you have it?
Protection,
From?
other gang members.
What's your, if you were released, what's your immediate plan?
I'm gonna get a job, save up some money so I can go to college.
Do you have any idea where the job is? Do you know what you're looking for?
It's just gonna be just a factory job, just so I can get some money in my pocket.
Have you attended Hillcroft?
Yes, ma'am.
Were they able to help you? Can you share with us what Hillcroft did to help you?
Well, they were teaching me how, like when I go to an interview, to a job interview, they were telling me what I could ask for and how to go, my attire, stuff like that.
Where's he at in school?
He has earned his GED. He had fairly decent scores on his GED, which should enable him to go to vocational program, or what is your career goal? What do you want to do?
I want to play football, and I'm a major in accounting.
Do you know what college or university you're wanting?
IPFW.
Mr. Davis, you have any nieces or nephews?
Yes, sir. My big brother just had a daughter like 2 months ago.
Okay, the thing is, you know they'll be watching. So the things that we discuss in our individual and our groups, how are you going to become a role model? And you're not coming back. I mean, once again, we're talking about changing your behavior. You know, the things you used to do, you no longer do. So once you get released, how are you going to become a role model to your nieces and your nephews that look up to you? So.
Well, I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna talk to him and tell him about the life that I went through, and I'm gonna tell him that they don't want to go down the path that I went through, because I spent almost 2 years of my life in boys' school.
Are you 18?
Yes, ma'am.
You'll need to register your name for the draft. What that is that's a pool of names in the event that we would go to a war or have a war and didn't have enough enlisted men to fight in that war, they would pull from this pool of names, which is called the draft. The way you do that is you stop at the post office on the way home, you pick up a card, and you register your name. Okay? It's very important that you do that. There are some severe consequences for not doing that. Okay?
Talk to me about your victims.
Victims. Well, they're rivalry gang members, so we don't get along with them for certain reasons.
Now, you just told me a few minutes ago that those were not gang related.
What victims were you talking about? Any? Well, some gang members, and some were for racism. The kids that were in school, this happened back when I was in middle school, so never seen them since.
Any questions, Chris?
When you were just talking about your victims, you were smiling. Why were you smiling?
Because I don't know if because I didn't get the question like victims. I don't know what victims he was talking about.
Do you have lots of victims?
Do you know what the word victim is? I mean, do you know what we're talking about? Okay. The people that you hurt. Okay. So do you think about that? Are you remorseful for the things that you did?
No.
Do you feel bad for what you did?
No, because because of what they were doing to me. So they was hurting me, so I felt that I had to hurt them too.
What's the tattoo there?
That has to do with some of my gang,
What's it mean?
things that I've done.
Like?
I fought with a couple people, shot at people. You just gotta, and then I've done 3 things. So we just gotta.
Next question, Mr. Davis. I keep going back to this decision making because I'm just hearing what you're saying to this committee, and once again, the gangs are destroying our communities, they destroying our families. Once again, once you get released, you're out in the community, you're going to school, you're focused on your program, but right across the street, you have your gang enticing you to come with them and do several things. I mean, you're saying all the good things here, but once again, once you get out in the community, how are you going to make that decision on the spot? I mean, not to go over and do whatever they're doing. I mean, how are you going to make the right decision when no one's watching?
I know.
Do you think you're ready to go home?
I am. It's just,
No, you want to go home,
sir.
obviously, but I don't believe for a second that you're ready. I don't believe that you can walk out these doors and not have any more ties with your gang. I don't believe that. I don't even believe that you don't want to have contact with your gang.
Let me ask you this. If I sent one of my sergeants to shake your room down right now, and your release was dependent on whether or not there was STG material in your room, are you leaving or not?
Yes, sir. I got a folder that had STG material, but I marked it off with a marker because they told me to do it. Other than that, I ain't got no STG in my room.
So they told you to do it, but you didn't choose to do it.
This was back when I was in GP when I got the majors for STG. They shook my room down, and I didn't have no folder, so they just told me to, Sergeant Harris just told me to scratch it out with a marker.
That's- Why don't you go have a seat for a minute?
Keep in mind the age.
Mr. Cowden? Is he
Is he nervous? or-
nervous?
I talked to him quite extensively the last couple of days, and he seemed fine with me. We talked about changing his behaviors, because there will be a lot of temptation once he gets released.
Right. Do you think he,
This
oh,
is
go ahead.
this is it. He's not remorseful for any
Okay.
victims. He doesn't understand that concept whatsoever. I don't believe for a second that he is done with any gang affiliation. I don't believe that with any fiber of my being. I guarantee you, he will walk out of this facility, and the first thing he's going to do is go back and meet up with his gang buddies. Guaranteed.
He smiled when he talked about his victim.
So-
It bothered me that he said, as long as I don't have to see the middle school students anymore,
Right.
then they're of no consequence. I don't see them, they're out of my sight, out of my mind.
But keep in mind the age.
Hmm.
So we probably need a
Well,
specific amount of time.
he needs to, I'd say that we need to have him come back in about 4 weeks, and in the meantime, he needs to do some work, do some programs
Yeah,
that
he needs to
are
stay with
focused on victims, victim impact types of things. And then also, he needs to find a more appropriate way to convince us that he's not going to have that gang affiliation anymore. He's far away from that at this point. But probably my biggest concern is the lack of remorse for victims, and I'm going to refuse to advance him anywhere until he makes some headway in that regard.
I have some packets that you can review with him individually and go through that with him that talks about victim empathy and
I think another good probably solution or idea, I don't know about solution, idea would be to bring in more, the speaker that came in last week, I think we can get him one-on-one on logistics, how we can work that out, but.
Alfonso. He was just here for another kid's arc.
And he's been through it, I've never been to prison,
He
but
helped
I
you?
think he can relate to him one-on-one, more individualized, and I think that would help him out, because I agree, there's no remorse.
Right.
I think that's probably a good plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before you call him back, can I just go in real quick, get a comment from him? I mean, I won't tell him what was said.
Well, you want to go with him? Just in case.
I'm just gonna say, how
For
you
your
feeling?
protection.
Are you nervous? I just want
Yeah.
one little,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
fine.
what they're gonna do.
You might have him redo this release portfolio before he comes back.
It was a long hearing and you're waiting to find out. How are you feeling right now as you wait?
I don't know, kind of mad because I don't think I'm gonna make it because they say I'm not ready to go home. So
Have any hope left in him? Was it harder than you thought it was gonna be? What was hard about it?
the questions. I don't know. I was just being honest. Every time they answered me, I was just being honest all the way. So.
Okay. At this point, we're going to send you back and get you to refocus on some other issues, primarily victim empathy, victim impact programming. We're also probably going to look at hooking you up with a mentor who we believe can help you deal with a couple of things. But you know, I said it before and I'll say it again, I don't believe for a second that you have any commitment to not being involved in your gang anymore. I think that these cameras are forcing you to come across in a certain way because you know it's going to be on television, and you have a certain image that you're trying to uphold to keep that respect from your gang members. And I think that's primarily what is driving your attitude at this point. And because of that, my decision is no, you're not going to be advanced at this point in time, and you've got some work to do.
Do you have any questions?
So Mr. Calvin will get with you, and you guys will work on where you need to go from here. Okay? You've got a ways to go yet. You need to truly be committed to doing away with those gang affiliations that you have. And I don't believe you're anywhere near that. But, you know, when it comes to looking at the harm you've caused others and your victims, you know, that seriously concerns me. You have absolutely no empathy in regards for them that I could detect, even in a most minute trace. There isn't any. Okay, so I need you to think about that. Okay? Okay.
I'll come back.
Go ahead, sir.
1-1, VR to A1.
You don't have my day, right?
Yeah, and his family is very much involved.
So from the, you want to do one-on-one session when we get back. I know you're upset, okay? But this is only going to help you, all right? And I'm bringing in a mentor. We're going to get together and individualize, sit down one-on-one, and see where we're going, okay? So we'll talk more when we get back, okay? Go ahead.